chat will pop up on the right-hand side of your screen. And when we're done, if you can just hit the red phone button, that will hang up for the meeting. And we'll get started in just a moment. Good morning. It's 11 o'clock right on the dot. My name is Susan Church. I am one of the math teachers at Davis High School. I also, our presenters today, we have Jackie Hawkins. She is one of the ALD teachers at Davis High School, and Scott Nunes will be here as well. Let me get back.
Good morning, guys. If you guys want to receive credit for today's webinar, in the chat, you guys will see a link. And if you guys are also experiencing any glitches where you can't hear, see, or view the chat, if you exit and rejoin the meeting, it's just a glitch on Teams and you should be able to have access to everything else.
Awesome. Thank you, Jackie. Just real quick, before we get started, on your screen, you should see the little 4 squares there. A will show you the mute for and unmute for your webcam and microphone. Please make sure that both of those are muted. Number 3 there, you'll see a meeting chat, and you can type in any questions you have, and we will be answering those as we go through the slides. Excuse me. Number 4 there is when it's time to end the meeting, or if you have to leave to go to another webinar, you just hit that red phone button and it will exit you out of the meeting. B, you will see Jackie has just put in the attendance for the webinar. If you will make sure to click that and get sign up stating that you were here so that you can get credit for this, it would be greatly appreciated. Make sure, though, that you hit submit at the bottom of that screen. And then it will take probably a couple of weeks for your attendance to be recorded, but it will be recorded.
I'm also going to post a link inside of the chat for today's presentation. It'll open up in a Google Slides. Scott, Susan, and I worked hard on adding and editing this for you guys. So if you guys want access to this for after the meeting or during the meeting, just to view it as well, you will see the link for it in the chat, and it's a Google Slides.
Awesome. Thank you, Jackie. Today, we are going to be covering exploring Schoology assessments. We'll touch base a little on testing quizzes and answer some questions there, as well as touch base with the assessment part of it. On the screen there, you see all 3 of our names and email. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us. We will try our best to answer them. If we don't have the answers, we will try to find them out for you. There's a Schoology assessment course code on your screen. This course, if you join this course, is self-paced. It'll allow you to go through the course at your own pace, work through, see how Schoology assessments work. I strongly encourage you to do so. It's really good just to have that hands-on dive into it. So what are we doing with Schoology assessment? Well, we ask ourselves 3 questions. What are we supposed to be teaching? Are we reaching the goals that we've set for our the instruction and for our students? And how can we improve it? So one of the main questions always should be, how can we improve our instruction? What can we do to make learning better for our students? So those are 3 of the things that we're going to try to address today. Assessing online. I absolutely love to do assessments online. I no longer do paper and pencil assessments. The reason for that is that the tests are automatically graded. Instead of sitting for hours and hours, if many of you, like myself, probably have kids of your own. And so instead of having to sit and spend all that time grading papers, it's automatically graded for us. The second thing there is the students get immediate feedback. instead of having to wait, days or even possibly a week or longer for feedback on their test to see how they've done. Are able to receive it immediately. The assessments online also provide us some exceptional data, at not just the school level, but the district level as well. And we can look at that data, it's automatically available. We can compare and see where we need to change things, or if we need to just keep going like we're going. So we're going to watch this video real quick, and please let me know if you can't hear the sound. So I'm hoping that we can fix that.
To add an online test or quiz, choose the option under the Add Materials menu. Enter a name and enter a due date so the test or quiz appears in the course calendar and the user calendar. If you wish for this test or quiz to appear in the gradebook, you must select a category other than ungraded. Grading options allow you to choose a different grading scale. Advanced options allows you to publish the quiz, enable comments, and show grade statistics. You can also post a file or a link. From the test or quiz profile, click on the Questions tab. You can import questions from a testing application ordered mastery. To create your own questions, click on the Add button on the right side of the dotted line. Currently, this feature supports true, false, multiple choice, ordering, short answer and essay questions, fill in the blank, and matching question types. For true, false, enter the statement in the rich text editor. Alter the text for true and false, mark whether the statement is true or false, check the subjective question box or the timed question box if necessary. Change the point value if you wish, and click Create Question. For a multiple choice, enter your question in the rich text editor. Enter options and add more choices if needed. Select the correct answer and choose to randomize the choices, allow partial credit, make the question timed, and change the point value. Create an ordering question by entering directions and adding events in the correct order. If necessary, add more choices, remove blanks, allow partial credit, make the question timed, or change the point value. To create an essay question, enter your text in the rich text editor, and if you'd like, choose a character limit, allow rich text answers for students, and make the question timed. For fill in the blank, enter the text and add 1 underscore for each word that you'd like to be blank. Enter the correct answer in the box next to answer 1. Select Add an Answer underneath answer 1 if you'd like to add other acceptable answers. You can also allow partial credit, add a word bank, make the answer case sensitive, and make the question timed. For creating a matching question, enter directions in the rich text editor. Enter the question-answer pair in the blank boxes. Anytime you see the pencil in the corner, you can open a rich text editor window to insert images, equations, and other types of custom media. Questions will appear in any order you define. Answers will be shuffled. You can add more choices, add filler words, allow partial credit, make the question subjective, make the question timed, or change the point value. Under the Questions tab, you can also change the order of the questions by dragging the arrow icon to the left of each question into the desired location. Don't forget to save. You can manually override these grades, add comments, and customize a wide array of settings for each test or quiz. Under the Settings tab of the test or quiz profile, you can adjust the following settings. Instructions. The text you enter here will be accessible while students are taking the test or quiz. Availability. Specify when students have access to take the test or quiz. This is separate from publishing and unpublishing the test or quiz profile. Time limit. Set a time limit for the entire test or quiz. If enabled, individual questions cannot be timed. Attempt limit. Specify a limit to the number of times a student can take the test or quiz. Grade by. If the student can take the test or quiz more than once, set how their grade is calculated. Paging, a quick way to set one question per page. Randomized order. Each student will see the questions in a different order and page breaks will be disabled. question review. If enabled, students will be able to see an overview page at the end of the test or quiz where they can review their answers before submitting. Resumable. Allows students to resume an incomplete submission not available for timed tests and quizzes. View submissions. Allows students to view their submissions after they've submitted the test or quiz. Preview allows you to see how the test or quiz will be seen from the student's perspective. Results allows you to view the quiz results by student and by question. And the Comments tab will appear if you've enabled this feature for your students. To take a quiz, the student just needs to click Begin Test Quiz. Each test or quiz will vary depending on the instructor and the course. Quizzes may be timed. If so, the timer will appear in the bottom right corner. Each test or quiz appears in the gradebook and is automatically graded unless there are subjective questions like short answer and essay. The student answers the questions appropriately, and when she is ready, she clicks Submit. You also may allow your students to view their submission with the correct answers once they complete the quiz. Ungraded short answer responses will appear as pending review. The teacher will receive a notification that her students have completed the quiz. All question types are automatically graded based on an answer key except for short answer essay questions. By clicking View by Question under the Results tab in the test quiz profile, the teacher can view stats for each question, and by clicking View Responses, she can now see how each student responded to that particular question. This is a great way to grade the short answer questions in a time-efficient manner since all the short answers are listed in one place. By clicking View by Student, the teacher can see how each student performed on an individual basis, including the number of submissions and attempts, the time of the latest attempt, and the final score. By clicking on View Attempts, the teacher can see the number of submissions, the time started, time complete, time taken to complete the quiz, and the score. The gear icon allows the teacher to go in and add comments to individual questions and change the score of a response. To view the stats for the class as a whole, click the Stats icon on the top right corner.
Awesome. Now, through that video, they showed us several different things as far as testing quizzes go. One of the main things is that the students get that automatic feedback, which is essential for them to see where they've messed up. A lot of our kids have anxiety anyways, and when they have taken a test, it takes forever for them to get the scores back. That makes their anxiety even higher. So not only does it cut down our time, but it also helps the students get the feedback they need right then, as well as just cuts down on some of their anxiety. The other part of assessments or Schoology test is the assessment portion of Schoology. And we're just going to highlight some hot spots in regards to the assessments.
Buenos dias. Hello, everyone. This is Herb Spanish, and this is a quick video about a new enhanced feature inside of Schoology called Highlight Hotspots. It took me a little bit to figure out what the purpose of this was, but once I figured it out, I'm like, oh, this is really, really cool. I could see it being used in geography classes, any type of things where you have to be able to select an area of a specific image. So let's show you how it works inside this thing. I actually did something related to maps, but I think you could use it for a variety of different purposes. So this is called Highlight Hotspots, and we'll show you how it actually is built inside of Schoology. First of all, you ask a question. For example, I asked, where is the Yucatan Peninsula? Okay, and then I have a map of basically Central America and then South America. And I've gone through, and immediately this little feature comes up, which is called Draw. And I wasn't exactly sure what I was supposed to do, but I'm going to show you right now. For example, I'm going to put a highlights hotspot around Cuba. Okay, so the way that I do it is you have to actually click here. I'm clicking to draw this kind of like square or whatever kind of shape that actually is. And this is number 5, but I can continue to do that, and I'll just show you here as I go ahead and go around here in South America and then label this area right here. And remember, I've asked where is the Yucatan Peninsula, but you can do all kinds of different things depending upon what type of image you are concerned with. And again, I'm just clicking 4 areas here and then just connecting them together. I guess I could do a triangle even right there. And then what happens is we have the correct answer set up here. And I decide, okay, this is the correct answer, or this one is, or this one, or this one, whichever one it might be. In this case, of course, we have Mexico here in the Yucatan Peninsula. But you can just quickly select as the teacher which one you want. Or if you had a question where you, for example, you said, highlight all the different mountain ranges in South America or the rivers or whatever else it might be, you could go multiple responses. And I think then you can just select multiple ones of these to see if it works. And it does work. So I could select both the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba. I'm going to go ahead and take that one off. You can add the author notes or whatever it might be. Why don't we go ahead and I'm going to save it. And then let's go ahead and do a student view for a minute. Okay, so let's go back to it and let's go preview the question, see what the students would look like. So it says, where's the Yucatan Peninsula? And the student would look at the map and they would go like, okay, it looks like it's this one. And then they would go boom and select that one right there. And then, of course, press submit on that question. So that's it. This is the Highlight Hotspot. It is new. If you have any questions, let me know. Adios. Hasta la vista.
Okay, so the highlight hotspots is just one way that assessment is different from test. So if you look here, excuse me, the test and the quiz and the assessment have different features. The test and the quiz portion of it, the kids, you can print a test, you can record audio and video, you can have question banks, they can even have a Spanish keyboard. There is ways to update the grades if the answer key is corrected. And then there is stats and grades per question. The assessment part of Schoology does give you the stats for the whole class like the test does. You're able to insert audio and video, but the main thing there is that the questions are SBAC type test. So this prepares our students for that SBAC test. So they're not completely blown away when they get to that test at the end of the year. You can also use assessments and set a password so that the students can't take it outside of class or wherever you don't want them to take it. There's a password. You can do a start time, an end time, and just really limit where you want them to take it and how long you want them to take it. Another thing though of setting that time limit is to be aware of your resource students that may need extra time. So try to incorporate that extra time in that time limit so that they don't get locked out of their test. The assessment does have a resumable setting so that they can come back, but it also has things like calculators and protractors, different tools that the students can use, just like the SBAC would. And you can assign those per question if you like. The students also have the ability to eliminate answer choices. Unlike with the test and quiz, those are not available. So these are all more SBAC geared assessment questions, where the test and quiz is just your regular multiple choice true and false short answer questions. I was just going over the assessment password. What happens here is you can see you would name your assessment, put your due date, the time that you want it due by, how many points, enable the submission, and then you would enable the password setting. You make up your own password. It has to be at least 5 characters and it is case sensitive, but you would just pick whatever password that you would want and you would share that with your students. Remember with the grading options, as you can see over there, remember that everything at the moment is ungraded. So we want to click that. Then you would just click on the save changes down here. with our toolbar, if you're wanting to bring in your own audio or your own video, there is a toolbar. If you look there, we have highlighted the tools button there. You would go and click on audio and then click add. And then you can bring your own audio and video into the assessment. If you wanted to assign a calculator, ruler, protractor to just one, you could do that through this tools as well. Or you can assign it to the whole test. Any questions so far?
So Matthew just said, hypothetical question, if student computer dies or needs to stop tests or exits out of a test for some reason, are their answers saved through the program or will the students need to start over?
Okay, great question. The few times that I've had that issue or the internet's went down, majority of my students' answers were saved. Jackie, have you ever had a case where they were not?
I have not had a case where it was unsaved, but I also haven't used assessments as regularly. I use it like maybe once a quarter, but I haven't had an issue where a student's computer has just shut down on them either.
Okay. I have had a couple of times where maybe one or two questions didn't save. It maybe they had just answered it and the computer shut down and they had to restart it. But for the majority of the tests, their questions were saved. It will say to resume the quiz though, when, like, if they go out and they come back in, um, those questions should be saved except maybe one or two. Every time there's a couple of glitches, but when they go back in, it'll just have a resume quiz button or resume assessment, and you click on that and they would go back into the test.
So Jonathan just asked, can students record an audio answer or record an answer to accompany a written response?
That is a great question, and one I am not sure of. I have not ever had students record an audio, but I can look into that.
Okay,
Um,
so Jonathan, I'm going to pitch you on a completely different program entirely. So the district just purchased Cami, and Cami is incredible. See, Julia gets me. So in Cami, the students can do like a video response or they could do a voice recorded response. So I highly encourage you to take a Cami training this week. Cami is incredible and it will change your life.
Awesome, Jackie. I have not used Cami yet, so that is great to know.
And also, I'm going to chime in real quick too. Scott Noons here. In Schoology, if you do an assignment, you can have students upload a short video or an audio as well.
Awesome. But not for the test, correct, Scott?
Not for the test. So this would be outside of the test features.
That's what I thought. Thank you. Great questions, guys. As you can see here, we have some question type comparisons. So the standard questions that we've all used before, multiple choice, true and false, matching, fill in the blank, are available. But there's also these enhanced questions. As you've seen, the label image, you could have them labeled image, but the new feature, the highlight hotspot, where you can highlight those hotspots and have them click on the correct answer that we've seen in the previous video. There's also math short answers, number lines, charts. So there's enhanced questions, but you still have your standard questions that we've all used before. And I strongly encourage you to just stop and play around with those enhanced questions, see what you can come up with. You'll find that, you know, for different subjects, you will really love different things. I love the math short answer question because I'm a math teacher. So just play around with it, see what you can find. We're going to watch this new assessment video about the enhanced questions. Awesome. As you can see, we really want to push some of these more interactive assessments, make the learning fun for the students. Instead of thinking these as tests, think of these as more activities for our students. So, once again, you have the ability to grade assessments by question. You can click on a question, grade every single student's response to that one question at one time, and continue that way. You also have question banks for your course assessments, and you can create assessments by randomly pulling items from a question bank. Scott has multiple questions in a question bank where he can randomly pull questions from that. And so there is so many different opportunities for enhancing our students' learning, not just with true false multiple choice, but giving them these enhanced questions, letting them see these SBAC style questions, and just kind of having fun with it. Now, one thing that is, some of us are like, okay, well, I already have a testing quiz. How do I make this testing quiz an assessment? So you can actually convert your testing quiz to an assessment if you are in resources. So if you've saved your testing quiz to resources, you would just click on the resource button there for number 1, and then you would click on the testing quiz that you are wanting to convert. Once you do that, you would click the gear off to the right-hand side. That gear will give you a drop-down menu, and you would just click on Convert to Assessments right here. And that will take the quiz that you've already made and turn it into an assessment. We're just going to watch a quick video on how to do that so that you can see somebody actually doing it.
Hey, Susan, there's no sound in this video.
Don't know why. Okay, so I'm just going to talk our way through this one because for some reason the sound's not working on this one. As you can see here, they clicked on resources. Then they went to the quiz that they were going to change, the testing quiz there with the green. And then they clicked on that little gear. When they did that, they just went down to convert to assessments. Now they can add it to which one they would like, what folder they would like to add it to, and then just click convert. Once you do that, it will transfer it and convert it to an assessment. I don't know why the sound messed up there. I apologize. So, like we just showed you, the converting testing quiz to assessments. It is a copy of your original test. So it will have the same information or the instructions. It'll have your test levels. It'll have your questions, your images, the text blocks. All of that will be in there, as well as your rubric. So it is literally just a copy of your original test moved to the assessment. So we've all had this. We review the material, they Google the answer. We give the students a test, they go online test, they Google the answers. They always Google the answers. Now, this is not foolproof way that I'm about to show you because obviously they have their phones. But one way that we can help is by using the lockdown browser. This has one job and one job only. It is to prevent the students from cheating. If the students have their phones, there's not much we can do about it. But with the lockdown browser, they won't be able to use their computers to cheat. So it's like a test environment, a proctored test environment, just like they would if they were in college. They can't print, they can't screen capture, they can't go to other websites, they can't access any other applications that you do not want them to access. So we're going to watch a video real quick on the lockdown browser itself.
Lockdown Browser is a custom browser for Windows or Mac computers that locks down the testing environment within Schoology courses. When students use Lockdown Browser, they are unable to print, capture screen content, go to other websites, or access other applications. This prevents students from using instant messaging programs, search engines, or any other digital resource during a test. To start a test that requires the use of Lockdown Browser, the student logs into the course with a regular browser and opens the test. If Lockdown Browser has not been installed to the computer, the student can download and install the browser from this link. If Lockdown Browser is already installed, the student can click Begin Test or Quiz. Lockdown Browser is similar to a standard web browser, but several features have been removed, such as the menu bar, the address field for entering URLs, the Start button in Windows, and the system tray. The right mouse button has also been disabled, along with keyboard operations such as function keys and task-switching keystrokes. Once the test begins, students using Lockdown Browser are prevented from exiting the test until it is submitted for grading. Not only are students prevented from going to other websites or switching to other applications, they are also prevented from accessing other areas in Schoology while taking the test. Test questions can include images, videos, or PDF files, just as with a standard browser. If a question contains a link to another URL, it will open in a new secure window that won't allow navigation beyond that initial page. So, for example, if the content in the new browser window happens to include a link to a search engine, the student will be unable to access the search link from that new page. When ready, the student will submit the test for grading. It is now possible to exit the browser. All other applications that were running prior to the start of Lockdown Browser will be available at this time. Thanks for watching. To learn more about Lockdown Browser, please contact your Respondus representative or go.
Okay, so as you've seen there, once they're in the lockdown browser, they cannot go to anything else, right? So the students are in a proctored setting with only what you allow them to see. Now, like I said, this does not completely solve the cheating issue. They do have phones and they love to sneak those phones. But it is one more step that we can do to ensure that they are not cheating, at least from our end. That's one thing we can control. So, how can we prepare a test for
Before you go on, Susan, there's a question from Sarah,
Okay.
or sorry, from Trevor. Does Lockdown Browser work on Chromebooks?
Yes. Isn't what our students have Chromebooks, Jackie?
No, our students have the HP laptop, but we are currently investigating whether we should switch over to Chromebooks because it's a lot lighter and easier for the students to access apps.
I think that the lockdown browser is still accessible. It is a Schoology link or Schoology, what's the word I'm looking for? App. And
Feature.
so, what? Feature, yes, thank you. It's a Schoology feature. And so I would assume that they would still be able to use them on Chromebooks. All right. Any other questions there?
I see no other questions at this time.
All right, thank you. Sorry, guys, I'm having to share my screen, so I can't see the chat window. You may be asking, okay, I like the lockdown browser. How do I use it? How do I set my quiz up or my test up to use that lockdown browser? So I'm going to show you a video real quick that shows you how to prepare a test for the lockdown browser.
Lockdown Browser is a custom browser that locks down the testing environment within Schoology. When students use Lockdown Browser, they're unable to print, copy, visit other websites, or access other applications during a test. Once the Schoology administrator has enabled the Lockdown Browser option, it's easy for instructors to prepare a test for use with Lockdown Browser. To view the Lockdown Browser settings, open the Lockdown Browser dashboard link from the navigation in Schoology. The Lockdown Browser dashboard will appear. Locate the test in the list and use the context menu to select Modify Settings. Then enable the Lockdown Browser setting. Your institution may also have a license for Respondus Monitor, a companion product for Lockdown Browser that uses a student's webcam to record the assessment session. If a webcam is being required, select that setting too. Full details on how to use Respondus Monitor are provided in a different video. When ready, click the Save and Close button. That's all there is to it. The settings are now enabled for the test, and students are required to use Lockdown Browser to access it. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so all we're doing is we will pick on the quiz that you, or the test that you want to use the Lockdown Browser for. Once you do that, you will go to the Lockdown Browser. You will set the settings that you would like them to have, and then go from there. The student screen will look like this when they go into the Lockdown Browser. They won't have a menu bar, web address. Okay, there's no shortcuts that they can use as much as they would like to. So the only thing they can do is what you have allowed them to do in the Lockdown Browser. As I said earlier, one of the main things about these assessments is to think of them as activities instead of questions. They're not just, you can make not just the standard true and false multiple choice, but make them activities. Have them pick things, highlight things. Use that highlight image which will record the activity in the window as a movie that you can see what their response as it unfolds. You can click on multiple questions and make it interactive lesson. There are numerous ways to go about the assessment using these enhanced features or these enhanced questions. So we included this video because we want to talk more about preventing the students from cheating with Schoology. So these are some advanced techniques. We're going to watch this real quick.
I want to share with you some additional ways that you can help prevent cheating. One thing I like to do is use the old assessment tool with quizzes, and I'm going to show you what I do with that test. I'm going to the questions here, and I have 2 questions that all students have to answer. But then right here, you'll notice it says random question set. And these are questions 3 through 60. And so it takes 58 questions out of a 129 question bank. And so essentially each student that takes this test will have a different test, which really helps curb the cheating. Because even if they look on each other's screens, there's a high likelihood that they're going to have different tests. And sometimes I'll make the question pools smaller. For example, typically I'll have about 130, 150 questions in a question bank, and I'll pool about 30. That way there's a lot of variance. So essentially the way you do that is, let's say you have your question bank established already. You'll go add question, and then you go from question bank right here, and you go randomize questions. Here's the Animal Farm one. I'm going to select this bank. And then I can tell it out of these 129 questions how many to pull. So I could say 30. And then I can give an individual point value as well. You don't have to, it'll default to 1. unless you want more. And there you go. That's how you do it.
Okay. Any
So there's a
questions?
question by Jonathan. This tip in the video only works if you are using a test quiz, not assessment, right? I thought assessments didn't have a question bank.
You are correct. This feature right here is only with test and quizzes. It is not with the assessment itself. The assessments do not have a question bank. This was just added in here for those of you that are using the test and quizzes to show you another way to prevent cheating on Schoology. You cannot randomize it with the assessment feature. Any other questions there? Okay. Here we've given you the Angela Gamas, and she's an instructional technology trainer for the district. There's her email. You can also schedule a trainer for appointments, one-on-one appointments, if you would like. And if you have any questions, we will be around to answer any of those. Or if you want me to show you another slide again, we are going to post a link to this Google slide so that you can see that and interact with that, as well as make sure that you have filled out the attendance form so that you get credit for being in the class. Anybody have any more questions there?
So if you guys want to scroll up, if you guys want to revisit the slides presentation that we had just shown you guys have access to it. This webinar will be posted to our YouTube channel, and there's also another, there's more resources on our YouTube channel as well. And if you guys did not fill out the form so you guys get credit for participating today, please fill out that link to do so. And you guys are welcome.
You're so welcome. Yes, please fill out the attendance form. We're going to hang around for any questions that you may have. If you don't have any more questions, or you can't think of any right now, you can use the red phone button to hang up. If you think of a question later, you are more than welcome to email one of us, and we will do our best to answer any questions you may have. And as I said earlier, if we don't know the answer, we will definitely try to find it for you. Will you email us the link to the YouTube channel?
Yeah, you guys right now. The link to the YouTube channel is now in the chat. And it doesn't just have stuff on assessments. It has stuff on